Hello everyone, this is Kevin, your Aptpreneur, and I wasn't going to make any videos today, but there were two stories out of the seven that popped up that I just knew I had to comment on. It couldn't wait, and so we're dealing with one of the two of them now, and this one is admittingly the one that was way more interesting. And that is that Uber's app, if you are an Apple user, if you have the Uber app on your iPhone or any other Apple product, Uber's app has a special privilege setting that allows it to record your screen while you're using it and access sensitive data on your own personal device without your consent. And believe it or not, this is not something you gave them permission to do. Now, have heard that with some people when they say, "Oh well, you give Uber permission to look at your photos. You give them permission to do this." No, this is actually a backdoor code that gives them unprecedented access to your phone information, and it's not in the user agreement. In fact, it's not in any agreement. You are not told about this. It is a specialty thing that only very, very certain apps on the Apple platform have. Here's how it works, and I know you hate it when I read these things, but I have to read it just so that I don't screw this one up. But the way it works is nearly every iPhone app uses what is called an entitlement, basically a way for software to enable features like the camera or Apple Pay on iPhones and iPads. Most of these can be easily found and officially turned on by outside app developers. But there are certain entitlements that are only used by Apple, given the company's own software-tied integration with the iPhone. These bits are marked with names that start with com.apple.private, and they are considered so sensitive that any third-party app found using them is rejected in the App Store. After digging around the code for Uber's app, Will Strafak discovered that it uses an entitlement called com.apple.private.allow-explicit-graphics-priority. Quote, "It is very odd to see Uber as the only app, and I checked tens of thousands of other apps using my company's internal data set derived from the App Store, beside Apple's own apps granted access to this sensitive entitlement," Strafak said in an email. Another person said that no other of the 200 top free apps use private Apple entitlements. Uber says Apple gave it permission to use the private entitlement, which it used from an earlier version of its Apple Watch app to render maps on the iPhone. The entitlement is not currently being used, Uber says. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. That lack of editing out is not a bloop or anything. I just literally got dumbfounded for a moment there. I'm going to comment why in a moment. Quote, "Apple gave us permission because early versions of Apple Watch were unable to adequately handle the level of map rendering in the Uber app," Uber representative Melanie Ezine told Business Insider. "Subsequent updates to Apple Watch and our app removed this dependency, and we're working with Apple to remove the API completely." Lots of other iOS developers would like special access to private Apple entitlements for both legitimate and illegitimate purposes. The one Uber was using, for example, could be used to record a user's screen, Thomas Jensen, founder of security research company Crissy Field, said. Quote, "Imagine any app would be able to use an entitlement like that and just record your screen without you knowing. That's why Apple doesn't allow just any company to use private entitlements." Apple didn't comment, but one reason why Apple may have let Uber use this as a piece of code, which likely would have needed to have been approved by senior management, is because the Uber app was demonstrated on stage when it launched the Apple Watch in 2015, and Uber was a launch app for the Apple Watch. So, where to begin with this one? Yeah, I'm going to link to the whole article. This is one of the best articles on Uber Business Insider has written, I have to say. But yeah, so here's the thing. Uber's relationship with Apple is officially very, very complicated, I would say. Because in 2015, Tim Cook actually sat Travis Kalanick down in his office to have a little man-on-man talk with him and had a complaint. And he told Kalanick that Uber was found breaking some of Apple's policies and to stop it or the app would be removed from the store. Now, what were those rules they was breaking? Well, Uber was tracking people through the iPhone after the Uber app had been turned off, which Apple considered to be a violation of their terms of service. But according to this article, apparently that wasn't the last meeting. Apparently Kalanick kept in touch with Tim Cook long after. There was a bunch of texts that were uncovered between the two, and I guess Apple, for some reason, let Uber do this. And that's definitely the wrong company you want to be allowing this sort of access to, because they are being investigated by the FBI for basically violating antitrust laws and for improperly spying. So, and again, this was not put in your user agreement. If you have an iPhone and you have an Uber app on your iPhone, if you comb through the user agreement and you look through it, you will not find a provision in there that allows them to record your screen. This, again, is an entitlement. That, I think, raises some serious questions that Apple would even allow entitlements on apps without letting the users agree to have them be used in the first place. So be careful, guys, if you have Apple products out there. Now, Uber claims, again, that they aren't currently using it. But keep in mind, this entitlement was discovered fairly recently, which means it is still active. So if you have an iPhone and you have the Uber app on, Uber could, in theory, be recording your phone. And they don't need permission. And interestingly, you didn't give them permission to do that. They're just sort of doing it. So, yeah. You see, I'm at a loss for words. Because it's such a strange situation that Apple would object to Uber's conduct. And then Tim Cook would continue to meet with Travis Kalanick and give him an entitlement that would do way more violating things to a user's privacy than what they were accused of doing behind their back. Was the issue that now that Uber was being forthright about it to Tim Cook, now Cook was okay with them recording people's information on the iPhones? Like, Tim, why was this okay? Why was this okay? It's not okay. I'm going to say this right now. I'm glad I have a Galaxy 7. Yeah, it's a 7. I'm not into phones as much as some people are, so I sometimes forget which phone I have. But anyway, what do you folks think? Does this bother you? It bothers me a little bit. Or does it not bother you? Were you aware of this app? Well, of course you weren't aware. No one really knew. And will you continue to have the Uber app on your iPhone or iWatch or Apple Watch or iPad, whatever? I don't know what Apple calls their products anymore. I mean, is it the iPhone X? Is it the iPhone 10? What happened to the iPhone 9? What happened to Windows 9? What happened to Mega Man 9? Oh, wait, they eventually did make that. Okay. Sorry, little tangent there. I'd love to know. Comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe. If you enjoyed the videos I make, consider becoming a Patreon member for as little as $1 a month or buying some swag from the Great Media Universe store. And, as always, flame responsibly. Have a good one.